Hey there, welcome to this episode, and I just want to start off by talking about the term cue and kind of what that means in sort of DJ circles. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because this guide is geared towards beginners as well, so if you know mixing and DJing, it's nothing new for you. However, if you are unfamiliar with some of these terms, I just want to clear up a few things. So when we are cueing something, essentially that means we are kind of listening and preparing. That's kind of its main sort of function. Now, if we look at the top here, we've got our cue mix, which is controlled by control 3, and you can see me moving it from kind of left to right here. If you don't see this, press start and end because maybe you're in crossfade mode. But with cue mix on like this, if I have it all the way to the left into like cue mode, when I want to prepare a track, so let's say we've got a track playing on channel 1 here, I want to bring in a new track into my mix, so I want to do that in my headphones, so in private essentially. I don't want to do that audibly so that everyone can hear it. So I turn this over to the left so it's in cue mode, and when I turn on the cue button here, which lights up green, I will be able to hear any input coming from channel 2 here, so whatever track we're selecting that we're about to play, I'll be able to hear that through my headphones. Now, if you turn both of them on, you will hear both of them at the same time. And of course, if you want to do it the other way around and you want to cue into channel 1, then you turn on the cue for channel 1. So that's one way that we cue something up. And the idea of cueing is simply that it's to pick a track, it's to get it prepared, find the start point, and then to play it and bring it into our mix. Now, the other time you'll heard me say cue was when I was playing around with these red buttons here. So we have these little buttons that act as like rewind buttons, and they have this little rewind kind of icon. I also called those cueing buttons because to me that's what it's doing. It's part of that process. Now, in an old school environment, if I was cueing a record, I would spin it back to the beginning and I would find the kick drum, the starting point, wherever I want to bring that in. And that's what that button does. It resets our track to the beginning. So I consider this a cue button as well, but it's for queuing up our track to kick it off. So I just want to clear up some of these terms. The other time you'll hear me talk about it is that I've done a video on setting cue points for your tracks, and that's something completely different, where you are making a little marker in your track, your song, so you can kind of skip about, and there's a whole video on that. But I just kind of wanted to clear that up before we went any further, because I feel like that's an important thing. You need to know how to cue your tracks. You can obviously do it. And if you want to listen to your mix as well, you can do that by changing this cue mix over to the right and listening to the output essentially. So when it's over to the M here, the mix, you're listening to what the audience is listening to. It is your output signal with everything mixed. So you can consider C to be the queuing part is kind of like private, what you're doing to be prepared. And then on the M side of things, the mix, that is what the audience is hearing. And you have the option to listen to that inside of your headphones as well, because it can be quite useful. So bear that in mind. The other thing to talk about here are the effects. Now, I've done a whole video on the bus effects and everything like that, so you can watch that and familiarize yourself with it, with your kind of bus effects 1 and bus effects 2 and all that kind of thing. Essentially what we can do here is we can apply some effects, and you can use your effects during your DJ set. But you'll notice what we've got here is that we can actually put them onto our channel faders. So underneath our channel faders, it says dry here. And if we do remain and 14 and remain and 16, we can choose what effect on bus 1 and 2 is applied to our faders. So when it's dry, it means there's no effect at all. So if we had some like filter drive and our song playing, you wouldn't hear anything until we do remain and then say like 14, and you will notice we are now sending our bus 1 effect to that fader. So any effect that is on bus 1 is going to affect that channel and that track essentially. So I just wanted to clear that up, and you can, if we hold remain and keep tapping, you can change it to bus 2 or back to dry. So there is also that function inside of here as well. I think that pretty much does it. I think in terms of what I want to go through in today's episode, I think that was it. It was mainly to talk about the cue mix and to talk about bringing the effects in a basic format. Other than that, I think I'll catch you guys in the next episode. So take care, and I'll see you then.